Sharp, good morning, guys.
Good morning, good morning. Oh, Luka, oh, baby bird, at it again.
Wait,
That's
he
where we're
was
going?
1 for 6 from 3 before he finally hit a couple late ones.
What about
are you
15 to
talking
23?
about? The story of the day, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes, is Tampa Bay strikes again. AB is back with the Bucks. It's over.
Who's surprised
It's
by
over.
that? Who's surprised
You
by that?
are.
No, I'm
You
not.
thought he was going to Kansas City all along. You told me that
No, I did
again
not.
and
No, I
again.
did
For
not.
more money, he wants to get paid.
We'll talk about that.
Yes,
We
we'll
will talk about that. Tom said it. He wanted the team back together. He's getting that. So we will get to the breaking news on Antonio Brown in just a bit. But, guys, we're a day away from the draft, and that is where we begin today. USA Today released their rankings of the top 50 prospects in the draft. And surprisingly, Mac Jones came in all the way down at number 40. The Alabama quarterback has been projected to go as high as number 3 overall to the 49ers, who traded up to that spot in large part to have the chance to draft Jones. However, if Kyle Shanahan passes on Jones, he could have a draft day slide like Aaron Rodgers. Remember that? So, Shannon, is Mac Jones worthy of the 3rd overall pick?
Yes. Skip, now, this is the problem that I have now. They say, watch the tape. What does the tape say? It's hard for me to believe that there's a quarterback in this draft, regardless, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, that has better tape than Mac Jones. The tape doesn't lie. So if you go to the tape, Skip, you would want his pro day to match up what you see on tape. But the measurables are secondary. Okay, so he's not 6'4", so he's not 230, so he can't throw the ball 70 yards, so he can't jump 40 inches. Who cares? The goal line is on the ground. Can he step over that? That's all I need to know. Does it have a 1-inch vertical? Because if he can get the ball into the end zone. Watch the tape. What does the tape tell you? The 3 most important things for me when I look at a quarterback: how accurate is he? How quickly can he process information? How quickly can he get the ball out of his hand? Anything other than after that is icing. Skip, look, I don't know if you don't really like cake, but bundt cakes. But I like bundt cakes. If you put icing on it, I'm not going to throw it in the trash, but it's not a must-have for me. Anything that comes after those 3, accuracy, processing information, how quickly does the ball come out of his hands, is secondary to me. So what, he cannot run Justin Fields or Trey Lance. So what, he can't throw the ball as far as Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence. Now you're going to say, oh, he's a 40. Skip, can someone tell me the difference between the season that Joe Burrow had? Although statistically, we know Joe Burrow had a better season than what Mac Jones did. Joe Burrow had 1 great year, and he went number 1 overall. Because everybody said, watch the tape. And when I said, well, hold on, Skip. You know, Tua had 3 years. Yeah, he's been hurt, but he got 3 years of tape. Your guy was terrible the last year. This year, he's been exemplary.
Yep.
Same thing with Mac Jones. Is that they're trying to find, don't overthink it, Skip. Because I know what people are starting to do. They're looking at Zach Wilson. They're looking at Trey Lance. And, man, you give them if they'd had some talent. If they'd had Mac Jones talent, if they'd had Trey Lance talent, the last time that happened, they got Chicago in trouble. Now, the tape said you should have took Deshaun Watson. But you tried to overthink it and took Mitchell Trubisky because you said if he had the talent that Deshaun Watson had around him, he would have been equally as good. So what'd you do? You traded up 1 spot, mortgaged everything, and you could have just stopped right there where you were and took Deshaun Watson or took Patrick Mahomes. Sometimes, Skip, you talk yourself out of things. Mac Jones' tape is plenty good enough. Because I give you another guy, Skip, a prime example. Look at Joe Montana measurables. Joe ain't have no measurables, but what could he do? That ball came out quick, it came out accurately, and he could process information. Simple as that.
And by the way, just like Tom Brady at Michigan,
Yes.
Joe Montana couldn't keep the job. He kept losing the job, regaining it. And I remind everybody, Tom Brady, for the first 7 games of his senior year at Michigan, was forced to split time with Drew Henson by Lloyd Carr, the coach. Just for the record.
Yeah, and Skip, you remember Joe's senior year. He told you everything you needed to know about the University of Houston when he won that bowl game.
I was there. I was there. It was like 40 below wind chill.
And just like Tom.
They shouldn't have played the game.
Just like Tom against Alabama, Skip, the last game of the season, he should have told you everything you need to know about him.
Well, he needed chicken soup at halftime because he was suffering hypothermia.
Joe Montana did.
Joe Montana did, yes. Okay. All right, back to the question at hand. In all my many years of studying NFL drafts, never, ever, ever have I seen or encountered a draft with more conflicting opinions on quarterbacks or on all of the above, receivers, defensive players, with more wild disagreement in mock drafts than I have in this one.
I think it's because of, Skip, the pandemic. You got no medical. You had no official. You know, Skip, you know how to go to the combine. Everybody was there pro day. It's unofficial this, unofficial that. No one-on-one interviews. You couldn't bring the guys in. So I think that's why we see the range.
But, Mr. Sharp.
Yes.
I believe that you are dramatically overrating Mac Jones simply because of one man and one man alone, and that is the man who coaches the San Francisco 49ers. Without Kyle Shanahan, or maybe Mike, your former coach in Denver, and the father and son, Mike and Kyle Shanahan, without those two, I believe Mac Jones wouldn't be rated more than a second-round prospect. It took off. The runaway media train took off because it was reported early on in the draft process that the Shanahans were infatuated with Mac Jones. It was reported, and by the way, Kyle backed it up and validated it 2 days ago in his media session that he did, that yes, we had our sights on one man when we made the trade to trade up from 12 to 3. It was a shocking trade, maybe as shocking as any I've ever seen ahead of a draft, because he spent the next 2 years number ones to go from 12 up to 3.
Correct.
It was a huge price to pay.
Very steep.
When I told you the first day out of the box, wait a second, they didn't go to 2, they only went to 3. So the Jets have been not just penciled in, they have ink penned in, they have been engraved in stone with Zach Wilson for 2 months. I've never seen anything like it. And I don't know why, but that's what they say they're going to do. And I guess people could be right. They better be right for the Shanahan's sake, because you don't want them to focus in on, I don't know what they're doing right now. You don't want them to switch to Justin Fields at the last second, and then the Jets take Justin Fields, because it's going to leave them in the all-time lurch at number 3. But Kyle admitted, yes, we had focused in on one player. And once we had time after we made the trade to do our due diligence, and that was a phrase he used, that they started to narrow the gap between that one player and the others, to the point that he got comfortable with all 5 of the top prospects. Okay, I got that. But now we get back to Mac Jones. I hear everything you say. I watched all those games, and my eye test told me he played at a supremely high level, because you can't not think that. But then, as I thought about it, as I read the people I believe in the most ahead of drafts, it really gave me pause. And what cemented it for me today was USA Today came out with their top 50 players that they rank. And I don't know Michael Middlehurst Schwartz all that well, but he's been doing this for a few years. And I respect his takes on these things. So his take was this, and this really hit home to me, that when everything clicks for Mac Jones, oh, by the way, I'm sorry, I left out the punchline. He ranked Mac Jones 40th of the top 50 prospects. He's just doing it in a vacuum. If you just rank the prospects in a vacuum. And by the way, he had Trevor Lawrence number 1. He had Justin Fields 5th. He had Zach Wilson 6th on his list. Trey Lance was 17th. Mac Jones was 40th. Okay, so here's the blurb that caught my eye and hit me in the heart. When everything clicks for Mac Jones, he regularly settles into being a decisive and very productive distributor of the ball. And I agree with that, because he was surrounded with arguably the greatest weapons anybody's ever had. You say, well, so was Joe Burrow, but this was something that he had, because when you have Najee Harris as your safety valve, as your check down, he is so good at catching and running with the ball, it's going to help your stats. It's going to help improve that 77%. And the USA Today goes on to say, but it's hard to tell whether he can provide an actual spark as an offensive catalyst, as he was seldom faced with being out of his comfort zone in Alabama, because you know and I know it was arguably the best offensive line, so he had the best protection. And he had the Heisman Trophy winner at one receiver, and for a while he had Jalen Waddle at the other, and you can just keep going down the line. But he had Najee Harris as his safety valve. So the point is that as I go to